Hello, this is Entendre, and today I'm going to show you some techniques I use when working with effect racks in Ableton. So currently I have a song loaded up. It's one that I created called Subterranean Bounce, and you can find that on Maya Brazil Records and on Ektoplazm and on my SoundCloud. So I'm going to play a little sample of that and put some effects on it, but we're going to build a rack. So let's get started. Here's the sound of the track on its own. Also, let me mention that I'll be giving away this rack as a free download, so check the description for the link. So have a listen to the original. Alright, so you have a little preview. That's good for now. So I just dragged an effect rack right here from Audio Effects down onto this track. And you'll see there's 8 macros. And basically you can just put any effects you want, either from Ableton or third-party plugins. So I'm just going to build like a basic rack that I might use for DJing. So first off, I'm going to drop a utility in, and I'm going to map that to audio 1, and this will allow us to control the volume. So I click on this map button, and this allows us to set the range. So I'm going to set it -35 to 0. And so now turning this up to max turns the volume to 0 dB, and turning it down does -35, which essentially will turn it all the way down. You might hear a faint remainder of the track. Let's see if I play it. You can hear it barely. If I turn it up, it's at 0. So there's our gain. So now what I'm going to do is add an EQ. You can use whatever EQ you want. I'm going to use an EQ3. And I'm just going to map the low frequency to macro 2, right-clicking and mapping it like so. Actually, I'm going to map it to macro 5, sorry. I want it underneath here. And again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to adjust the range to 0 dB instead of +6. So now we have a knob that can control our low frequency output. So if I turn this down, there won't be any bass. Turn it up and there's bass. So now what I like to do is create like a high pass filter. So I'm going to go to auto filter, drag that down. We're going to create a high pass by clicking there. And we're going to map the frequency to macro 2. So this will sweep up the frequency range and back down. And I also like to create a low pass and map the frequency to macro 6. So this one will open up the filter or cut it. And it's easy to reverse the direction if you want. You can open the map and click on that, and you can actually invert these ranges. Maybe it's this one. No, I think it's the other one. So now turning up this knob will actually close the filter, and then turning it down will open it. And this will, that's with the filter open, and this will do the high pass. So they both kind of work in the same direction. So then we move on to the next knob, which I like, I like this knob to basically control like a white noise type effect or a reverb. So you can basically create white noise from the patch and control that. I mean from the audio itself using the reverb. So if I create a reverb like that, I could actually EQ it, so maybe I want it to only be in the high frequencies. Let's see what that sounds like real quick. So that creates kind of a noise effect with the reverb. You just got to tweak the settings to get it right. Now I'm actually going to hit Command G to group this reverb. I'm going to go into that effect group. So it basically created another effect rack. We could open the macros here if we wanted, but I'm not going to do that right now. What I am going to do, I guess what it's going to be is kind of a white noise slash high pass effect. So I'm going to throw on an auto filter after this reverb, and I'm going to switch it to high pass again. We're going to bring down the frequency, and then I will go ahead and map the frequency to macro 1 of this effect rack, and then I can map this effect rack's macro 1 to, what is it, macro 3. So you can actually nest effect racks within effect racks. So now that's mapped. So we can go something like, well, let me also map this to macro 1. So that's dry wet. So now it'll be dry when this is down. But as I turn it up, it'll get more wet and start to high pass. So let's try that out. So that's a pretty fun effect. You can also, do it to where you create another chain here. So create a chain, and now this one will just be dry, whereas this one will have the high pass effect. And we could basically map the volume of this chain to macro 1. So now it's quiet, and then we'll turn it up gradually as it's high passing. So let's see what that sounds like. So it's a really subtle effect. We could change the range of the high pass or the volume. We could change the range of this dry wet so that it's more wet. So we could just click on map here, and we're going to start it at 50%. So it's just going to start off pretty wet right off the bat. So let's try that. We could also change the range of the volume. Although we might not want to do that because then it's going to have a little bit of reverb all the time. But we could change this. So that kind of introduces some nice white noise effect. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to rename that. And we're going to move on to this knob. So for this one, I basically like to create like a fade to gray type effect. So you can use any delay that you want, really. We'll go ahead and try a filter delay just for fun. And I'm going to map the dry wet to macro 4. And we're also going to throw a high pass and maybe a low pass as well. Let's see. Let's throw an auto filter. And we'll hit Command D to duplicate. And we can swap it to high pass and turn down the frequency. And let's go ahead and map this to number 4. And also this to number 4. And let's go and hit map again and invert those ranges. So I'm just going to invert that one. And let's get out of map mode. So when the filter is up, okay, we want to reverse that. And then hit map, and I'm going to swap the frequency of this and the frequency of this. So now when macro 4 is down, the filters are both open, and as it opens, they're both going to close. So low passing and high passing at the same time with this filter delay. Let's go ahead and, well, we could throw a preset for the filter delay, so, or you can create your own. Just gonna do a simple filter, or simple filter 3. I don't know. Just playing around at this point. Now let's hear what that sounds like. Hold on. We got to turn the range. Let's see here. Okay. We got to map the volume to macro 4 as well, because this is actually just the dry amount. So perhaps we want to unmap the dry amount. Okay. Let's see what that sounds like. I'm going to get rid of the low pass. Let's just see what it does with the high pass. Let's turn up the feedback. Open up this filter. I mean, you can get as creative as you want with this. You can make it have like a flanger effect come in, or a phaser, or try out different delays, different types of filters. But basically the idea is to have a way that you can have it kind of echo out into nothing for a transition or something in the middle of whatever. You know, it's just a nice way to bring a track out. So I also tend to do a similar type effect for number 8. Just a variation. Number 7, you can do some kind of glitchy thing or whatever you want. So let's go ahead and do that. Just going to use the beat repeat for this example. And we're going to hear a mix of them right now. So we can map this volume to number 7. Just going to play with these settings and see if we can come up with something interesting. Again, we're going to go into map mode. We're going to click on volume. And we're going to change this. Actually, that's the filter, but we could do that here too. Well, no, I want to do it to the beat repeat volume. So I'm going to make that 0. So it was adding a little bit too much volume. And I also want to cover this cool addition to the effect rack. You can go in here and you could go into chain mode. Right now we just have one chain, but if I were to create different chains, I could crossfade between them. So I could duplicate this chain. You can drag this out, and I could say crossfade between this chain and this chain, like so. And then you can map this, which is the chain selector, and you can actually morph between different chains of effects. So that's one way to create more subtle transitions between effects. Say I go to chain 2, I'm going to wipe out everything here except for this beat repeat. Now I'm going to go back to chain 1 and then remove the beat repeat from the end of this. Now I'm going to map this to number 7, which is my glitch effect. So now when I turn this up, it fades between those effect racks, which will basically create more of a smooth fade into the effect, because before it was just coming on immediately, or maybe the volume of it was turning up. But I mean, you can use a dry wet knob, but this is a way to create your own, and comes in very handy. So let's give that a try. Alright, that's fun. Can rename this one Fade to Gray. And then let's go and create one last Fade to Gray type effect. So I'll just go back into chain 1, go to the end here, and let's throw on just a simple delay this time. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to make sure that repitch is chosen. So it's going to create kind of a tape delay effect. Now I'm going to turn off sync, and I'm going to map this to macro 8, the milliseconds. And I'm also going to map, well, I'm going to turn the feedback way up. I'm going to map the dry wet to number 8. And I'm also going to put on a auto filter. I'm going to map the frequency to macro 8. I'm going to go in and invert the range. So let's see. Macro 8 frequency, invert, we're good. So now it's open, and it will gradually close as this time expands, and that should create an interesting effect. Let's hear what that sounds like. Yeah, I'm definitely happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and rename that. Let's go ahead and rename all of these better. Wait, this is low pass. And high pass. And that's good. Now we can go ahead and color code them as well. High pass can be the green, low pass. Make that yellow. White noise, we'll make it white. Glitch will be blue. Fade to gray, blue and blue. All right, we'll call this DJ Effect Rack 1. Or like Tandra's live performance rack 1. And like I said, I'm gonna give this away as a free download, so check the description and yeah, check out my tunes. Hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful day.